me conduit sur bien des chemins, pleins de détours et d'aventures, sous le soleil dans les coins obscurs, ma route, mon destin. J'ai visité des royaumes lointains, des beaux jardins et des catacombes, connu la joie, la tristesse profonde, famine et festin. J'ai tourné la tête pour ne pas voir la guerre, fermer les yeux devant la misère, hurler au ciel pour chasser le tonnerre. Ils me suivent toujours, plus le rêve est grand, plus il m'éloigne de ceux qui m'aiment. Je les oublie avec tant de peine, ils m'attendent toujours, toujours. Le trajet est long, la route périlleuse, du creux des monts à la mer houleuse. Mais quand j'entends la douce berceuse qui me saisit, je revois au loin le bout du toit. Tout ce que j'ai délaissé retrouve mes racines dans la terre de mon pays. Je revois au loin le bout du toit. Tout ce que j'ai délaissé retrouve mes racines dans la terre de mon pays.
I'm about to read a poem called Trees, March 2022. I've been thinking a lot about my experiences in Ukraine between about 2010 and the beginning of the pandemic, as I would go there 2-3 times every year for 2 or 3 weeks at a shot to work on AIDS interventions and AIDS intervention research. And of course, there are many places that are dear to me based on that. Just I might add, as there are in Russia, from my experiences in Russia, and many other places around the world. Trees, March 2022. Sitting, staring, trees sway to a cool New Jersey breeze. Chestnuts flower majestic, June in Police Park in Kyiv. Feet slip, slide amidst Odessa's February ice and snow. Which trees stand tall? And which trees stoop stumped amidst shell-shattered limbs in Kyiv's Shevchenko Park, where an old man's hand once moved his pawns on a windswept board like a statesman or general plotting war.
This is a book that I received from Steve Bloom years ago, Introduction to Poetry for Social Activists. I use this book as one of my guides in my own poetry practice. I want to read one of Steve's poems that really touched me in this book. It says, In Memoriam. Most martyrs rest in graves undraped with flowers. Nobody will remember when or where or how they sacrificed all that was within their power, so I cannot tell you now. Most martyrs rest in graves undraped with flowers. Beneath more storied tombs, I sense it's always true, lie countless other she and heroes who gave equally as they were called and so. Although well praised, the celebrated dead must be. This round let's toast a deeper victory. For deeds which otherwise remain unsung, unfurl the banner left too long unhung for all who could in life achieve no more than try their best. And now at last in graves we drape with flowers rest. And that poem is called In Memoriam by Steve Bloom, also the author of this book, Introduction to Poetry for Social Activists.
Well, hello. My name is Regina Jennings, and I'm delighted to have the opportunity to share my poetry with you. I'll be reading from my latest and greatest book, Poetry, Panther Poems, Poetry of a Sister Panther. So I wanted to start off actually by discussing why I even joined the Black Panther Party for self-defense in Oakland, California, even though I was originally born in Philadelphia. My grandmother ran a speakeasy, and my aunt lived there, my mother and my sisters. And whenever the police wanted to have fun, they would break down our door and come in and run upstairs and go through my aunt and my mother's belongings, their lingerie and such. So I never liked the police. In fact, I was very afraid of them even as a child. Then, when I was about 12 years old or so, and I was jumping double dutch on this little street in South Philadelphia, Annan Street, I saw the police rush through our neighborhood, grab one of my childhood friends. He was probably around 14, maybe 15. And this is what happened to my friend, Frank. Jumping double dutch. 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 92, 10, 20. They came with clubs, smashed my friend's face, splattering blood, dragged him in an alley of urine and cigarette stubs. Frank's mouth hollered, but no sound came out. His arms flapping bits of paper. They beat Frank, clobbered him with clubs, stomped him with brogans until one jumped up and oinked. Wait, boys, wait. The one I saw was bigger. Wait, boys, wait. We beat the wrong. And I think you can fill in the blank. So I left home at around 14. And so I was on the streets for anywhere from 14 to 16, 17. Around that time, I kind of got my act together, and I didn't know quite what to do, but I did get a little job. I had upped my age, and I was working as a typist. And one very wise, wise sister told me I needed to see a film. And I'm glad that I listened to her, because that was on first seeing Bobby and Huey. My big sister Gloria, her husband Billy, had hipped me to Muslims, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the original black man. The Reverend Lawrence Henry had mandated Malcolm X on me. On the streets, I witnessed police wickedness. On television, them clobbering conservative coloreds. Then a wise sister insisted I see a film, Bobby and Huey with guns, challenging the wicked. On seeing Bobby and Huey, my rambling reined in. Philadelphia could slap me no longer with destiny shouting, everywhere echoes, and I answering.
The blues come in waves. The colors of my anguish know how to twist and turn as the sound of saxophone moaning hit notes of brilliant golden shine through thick, dense swirls of blue smoke. And drums talk rhythmic in low tones, while scorched chilies dance on flames of rusted burners, and flecks of black ash float mid-air crying, the tears acting as oil to a fire I cannot contain. My blues, that huge black speckled pot that, well, you know, every mama has on her stove, and when you see it, you just know that something extra good is cooking. I miss my mama and that pot. This anguish is colors fresh, blood and tissue after brutal rape, and clear as the tears that follow, so long ago, but every day for someone. My blues, our blues, the color of your smooth brown forearms, only body part not scarred from decades of needle marks, but so finely preserved. Oh, so finely preserved. As you hold that horn and breathe, crying out blues, as you hold that horn and breathe, crying in a rainbow of colors, or caressing my body in another language for a lifetime. Then the color of death, as your damaged veins deeply absorb the heroin, you sadly smiling through the pain, asking me to guard your salats. Anguish recalls colors of cream gray umbilical cords that are held tightly to just before birth and held tightly to right after death. As babies emerged into the world, still soft and dead, the colors of transitioning. They say there is a tribe in heaven, and the cord of life attaches to is an all-encompassing infinity that asks, well, what is the color of life? Life is the blues. It teaches you to be human, but it has no specific color. It is the third eye color. It is the color of the rich, deep soil. It is of the earth, the sky, the water, the wind, the air, the rain, the fire, the pain, the womb. The color of blues comes in shades and feelings and tears and laughter. The color of despair comes in shades and feelings and tears and laughter. Somewhere between sanity and insanity, it lingers, quietly giggling at my inability to decipher between the two. This anguish may ask permission to emerge, or other times it just bursts in like a meteor, like a wet paintbrush flung in midair. It has a mind of its own, splattering an array of colors everywhere, to either last a lifetime, be muted, or to be erased. That is the freedom of its wildness. That is its freedom, its wildness. Some people sing the blues. Some people cry the blues. Some people have blue suede shoes. But I try to make peace with these blues. And when that's not possible, submit to its lessons of dead babies, hung humans, impaled bodies, hateful glances, spiteful lies, cartels eating innocent human flesh as a rites of passage, seas of drowning men, women, and children, arms flapping desperately towards an indignant skies, kittens on freeways with paws superglued to the pavement, a young black mom shot for no reason while driving with her newborn, eastbound highway for home. You know, just a normal hate day. Only it can occur several times a day, depending on your hue. She just happened to be this week's target of a hate so common that my blues turned crimson. A hate so common, my blues turned crimson, as in red dawn nightmares and primal screams. The color of anguish is insomnia and pacing and dancing and writing, embracing and making love, and desperate attempts to connect with something more divine than the everyday inherent horrors and inhumanness of some humans. And blues is the color and depth of my eyes, so I look down and away and avoid eye contact, so you cannot see into my soul and calculate my weaknesses and strengths. This life, these blues, this anguish, are the colors that come to all of humanity. It comes to all of humanity. In one feeling, one thought, one tear, one smile, one heartbeat, one fear, one joy, one love, one loss. A wet paintbrush gets tossed. This is the canvas of our humanity. This poem is dedicated to Oakland Jericho and our healing sessions, especially our poetry night, which is inspired by Brother Comrade Jalil Mutakim's poems and writings.
Trepidatious Grace. Gracie, with her lovely ankle dangling outside of her mouth, tripping on the vanishing hem of the Shekhinah. Slapstick sideshow, minstreling for mercy, ticker tape for the awkward. Like in Piobico at the Festival dei Brutti, why not celebrate the ugly? Power to the klutz as we stumble over cracks in our systemic sidewalks, mixing up our metaphors on the yellow brick road to swanhood. Bless us, the clumsy, the awkward, and the crude. God and Goddess, we are your perspiring students. Usher us through the unjust aisles to a rebirth. Converge on our upper lip of sweat. Careen on our funky breath of prayer and protest. Untame the polite, wild the thirst, geomancy that holy spring of justice. An oasis in our well-trodden desert. After 7 circles of wandering, we glimpse our bride arrives.
White man is not master of his heart, but is mastered by it, so that if it is not fixed in writing, it becomes unstable like water and is pulled in the lower place. Mary Hunter Austin. The mandate came down. Hire a person of color. You looked at the numbers, looked around, and suddenly it occurred to you there are too many white people here and 25 million Latinos floating around. Get me one of them. For you, we assembled on the block, and as we turned this way and that way, you said, "Oh my, they resemble one another like piano keys." From your perch, you looked at our patterns, and it seemed to you like someone scattered domino tiles. The fragments made no sense. We know we do differ. We differ in pitch and tone and quality of voice and rhythm. You were surprised. When we turned down your job, there are no qualified people in that race, you said to friends. What part of no don't you understand? We stay away because now we know you failed every test. It's impossible for you to appreciate the subtleties, touch details, listen to the night winds, feel the darkness in your own soul, dance with the other.
What makes you hopeful for Chris and KT? Quote, I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one, unquote. John Lennon. There are times she asks me, what gives you hope? I say, ain't the audacity of dope. Old Schmo, Slick Willie, or the Drone Ranger. It's random acts of kindness from a stranger. It's farmers markets, co-ops, and mutual aid. It's the first crayon drawings my children made. It's couples taking care of each other. It's a professor teaching his grandmother. It's the bad saxophonist who can sing. It's the hot jazz group that can playground swing. It's a young drummer who's living his dream. It's John Coltrane blowing a love supreme. It's the cozy sable zippered sweater. It's brilliant teachers making me better. It's red flags flying from a church steeple. It's gangsters woke, now serving the people. It's school children walking out in protest. It's freedom fighters who risk arrest. It's an addict living clean and sober. It's Ferguson through line to Striketober. It's speeches of Malcolm and Dr. King. It's George Floyd summer thawing Arab spring. It's my rabbi dying, then coming back. It's waking up this morning, proud and black. It's 15 minutes of flame once a week. It's training for my wiki leak.